यार अभी हम पासवर्ड चेंज
Shri Hare Namaha. We shall start the session now. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Shri Adigurubhyo Namaha, Shri Mulagurubhyo Namaha, Shrimad Ananda Tirtha Bhagavad-Padacharibhyo Namaha, Shri Vedavyasaya Namaha, Shri Bharatyai Namaha, Shri Saraswate Namaha, Shri Vayave Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Haraye Namaha, Mokshaprada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranatakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Grantamurtirayit. Narayanam Surugurum Jagadekanatham Bhaktapriyam Sakala Loka Namaskritam Cha Traigunya Varjitam Ajamipimandimisham Vande Bhavagnam Amarasura Siddhavandyam. Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave Namo Hiranya Garbhaya Hare Shankaraya Cha Vasudevaya Taraya Sargastityantakarine Ekaneka Swarupaya Stula Sukshmatmane Namaha Avyakta Vyakta Rupaya Vishnave Muktihetave Sargastiti Vinashanam Jagatosya Jaganmayaha Mulabhuto Namastasmai Vishnave Paramatmane. So to recap the previous sessions, we had discussed about especially about the concept of the Jagat Chakra and how the Jagat Chakra is very important and holds a fundamental role in governing one's actions and one's very purpose in life and one's contribution to other beings. So commonly if one reads the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, especially the three shlokas which describe the Jagat Chakra, one can notice that this has been actually often misquoted by the anti-Hindu agents and those who have wanted to defame Hinduism by saying that it is pseudo-scientific. So here basically one can see that people have questioned how can a mere yajna or a fire ritual contribute to causing parjanya, rainfall. So Sri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu excellently explained the deep meaning of this. And the superficial meaning, as I had explained in the beginning, was that yajnas or the rituals or anything in general which contributes to the well-being of other beings, that is what pleases the devatas or the divinities who preside over rainfall and the other natural phenomena. So that is why, due to the contribution of various people, these the yajnas are said to cause rainfall. But more than the yajnas, it is actually one's role in the Jagat Chakra which actually pleases the devatas and which actually contributes to the functioning of the world. So basically in Satya Yuga, if one reads the Puranas, one can find this description that actually in Satya Yuga there was no need for human intervention. There was not much of a need for human intervention at all, because the earth would produce all resources on its own, and it was pretty much self-sustaining without the intervention of any human beings and without the need for human beings to cultivate or grow any crops. All the plants and the other the shrubs and the herbs which would give food and all the necessary nutrients for all the living beings would grow on their own, and they would be maintained properly. But later, as the ages progressed, this started reducing, mainly because one can see that the contribution of humans to the Jagat Chakra also reduced from then on due to the rise of adharma. And now in Kali Yuga, this will actually go to the lowest level in the upcoming 5,000 years, especially after the next 5,000 years, because that is when the golden period or the golden age of Kali Yuga will end. So because of that, when the golden age of Kali Yuga actually ends, there is the actual description of Kali Yuga given in the Puranas, especially in the recent translation which we published of the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha. The first Adhyaya elaborately discusses about all the horrible and the incidents which will take place and how the situation of the living entities will be, especially the human beings. So there, if one sees that description, it is clear that it is thousands of times more horrible than what we are seeing today. But many of those symptoms are still visible as of now itself. One can see that relationships do not hold much value. One can see that the people do not have much purpose, and there are rarely real gurus nowadays, and there are very few proper disciples even for those who are sincere gurus. So due to all these defects, one can see that Kali Yuga is progressing, and as expected, as predicted by in the Puranas themselves, and as declared by Sri Vishnu multiple times in the Padma Purana and Varaha Purana especially, the knowledge of Bhagavan, Aparoksha Jnana, and all spiritual knowledge in general will become more and more hidden as Kali Yuga progresses. And only there will be very few people who will finally have that knowledge, and one day that knowledge will also disappear altogether. So this is how the circle of time progresses. Now this is actually cyclical, and after Kali Yuga ends, Satya Yuga begins once again. So to understand the Hindu concept of time itself will take a bit of an effort for many people who do not have much philosophical knowledge, because this is one concept which is not relatable to us in today's times from the knowledge we learn, or the knowledge we may have of other religions and their notion of time, and the how time progresses. So does anyone have any questions still here?
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama.
can you explain how can we to give how can we explain this Parjanya or Jagat Chakra for simple people? Those are not like very in a deep Shastra, Devatas in simple way. I mean,
See, simple to explain it in simple terms, this Jagat Chakra is basically the cycle of the way the resources are conserved on our planet, basically. So, if one sees, as and when we are increasing the damage we cause to the environment, as said in the last session, especially by Sri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu. So, as and when we do that, there is obviously a decrease in rainfall, and there are obviously more natural disasters which take place. So, that is the basic meaning of this of how yajnas contribute to Parjanya in the Jagat Chakra. Does that make it clear?
yeah.
So, any further queries by anyone?
Can you give explanation? Last time I also asked for Varnashrama Dharma.
What explanation do you want?
Complete this like Sripad Madhvacharya has also given Upadhi and one more
Aupadhika and Swabhavika, you mean?
Tattvavaada. So
I
like
would
this
suggest you
detail
to
version I want. Detail.
I would suggest you to first have you read our translation of the Vishnu Purana's sixth Amsha?
I opened but because do not have time so much, so that's why I can't read.
So please refer to the second chapter, the second adhyaya especially. In between there are pages of explanation which we've written, which quotes multiple references from the Shastras and explains that elaborately. So if you still have doubts after that, you don't hesitate to ask, but first go through that, because that will, I'm pretty sure that should give you a proper and clear-cut explanation.
Thank you, brother.
So for everyone else here also, please go through this translation of the Vishnu Purana 6th Amsha which we have released. So has anyone here read it? You can mention in the chat box or give a reaction also if you can't unmute yourself. Okay, so we request everyone to please go through that, because that clears most of the basics of Tattvavaada and Vaishnavism in general, and and that has a lot of information on how to practice bhakti and jnana yoga as well as karma yoga. So that is quite important here. So we request everyone to first go through that. At least if you can't learn that thoroughly, just at least superficially read it, especially the 5th, 6th and the 7th adhyayas, because those are very important, and they especially deal with the procedure of practicing bhakti, and they give important knowledge about who Bhagwan is and why he is Bhagwan, and the fifth chapter's last part also explains why he is called Bhagwan and the etymology of the word Bhagwan. So after this, there is an elaborate explanation on how one should practice bhakti, one's purpose in life, and so many things. So that is going to clear up most of your doubts on the basics of Siddhanta. So we request everyone to go through that. Any further doubts here? Okay, so assuming no one here has any more queries, we shall continue now. So, as we said, one's contribution to the Jagat Chakra is the most important here, because, as said already in the last sessions also, that is the actual essence of the Bhagavad Gita. That is what finally motivated Arjuna to fight, and that is what is especially relevant to us. So, without understanding this Jagat Chakra, it is actually impossible to perfectly understand the Bhagavad Gita at all, or the philosophical message that it gives us. Also, one more thing I wanted to mention is that around 3 sessions back, one person had asked a query that in Nyaya Sudha, Jayatirtharu states that there is one time after manifestation of the jivas, after srishti of the universe, that they start performing karmas, so their karmas are not anadi. So, since the Shastras clearly state that the karmas of all jivas are anadi, it obviously cannot be contradicted here. And we had requested that person to share the exact reference of from the Nyaya Sudha and what B.N.K. Sharma had stated about it. So he had shared it with us, and we checked it, but he hasn't been coming to the sessions again, so we couldn't directly tell him. So anyway, the explanation is that the context of karmas there, which started after the jivas were manifested here, is in relation to those karmas which are performed with the body. Once the jiva takes birth in samsara in a particular body. Now, this does not negate the fact that karmas have been existing since Anadikala, because even when the jivas are unmanifest, they are not completely 100% inactive. They still have their thoughts running, and they still have those thoughts and ideas about what they want to do. So because of this, we cannot say that there was a time when they were not performing any karmas at all, because even in that unmanifest state, they are still performing karmas by thinking and by imagining what to do, and by remembering and planning what they would want to do once they take birth. So this is actually based on the jiva swabhava, and basically this is why the Bhagavata Purana's shloka states that nahi kashchit karmakrit akarmakrit shanairapi, and it ends with gunai swabhavikai, which means that there is no instance of time where one can stay without performing any karmas at all. There is the jivas always keep performing some or the other action. It is not possible for anyone or anything to be in complete inactivity. Now the Advaitins, they actually want to reach that state where there is complete inactivity and where they do not have any emotions, feelings. They just lose that identity of their own. They just want to lose the very existence of their separate existence or identity which they have. They just want to forget it entirely. Now, so basically, the Bhagavata Purana and multiple Shastras, but here the Bhagavata Purana's 6th Skanda's 1st Adhyaya has this shloka which I mentioned. So, there it is clearly stated by Shuka Muni that no matter what, everyone is performing some or the other karmas at any given time. It is simply not possible for one to be fully inactive, and at any given point of time, one does perform karmas due to the influence of their swabhavika gunas, the gunas which determine one's swabhava. So, Sarthak, you were about to ask something, so please go ahead now.
Yes, so Sattvika Jivas and Tamsika Jivas are in a dormant state where they do not come into samsara. Uh,
Yes,
they're
some
not facing
jivas will be
samsara.
there who wouldn't have come to samsara yet, and they'll come to samsara at some later time when another Brahmadeva appears.
Hmm. But yeah, that does not mean that they're not performing karma. Karma is performed by every conscious being,
Yes,
even by thought, even in the dormant state.
yes, definitely.
Hmm. Okay, so yeah, okay. That is what I wanted to ask. Is have I understood correctly?
Yes, that is the right understanding. Any queries by anyone else? Okay, so moving on in Anuvyakyana, okay, someone unmuted themselves. Brijan Sevak, any queries?
Yeah, actually, I just opened this Vishnu Purana. So
Uh,
here, can you explain disciplic succession? Better at least you explain so we can read still at least 10 minutes daily, whenever we have meet.
explain what exactly?
Can you explain now Guru Parampara? That is, I just opened this, so here it's a a very detailed version. Hamsa
That is
Bhagwan Hamsa.
the Guru Parampara. There's nothing to explain there. That is just the Madhva Guru Parampara of the Pancharatrikas and under which Parampara Madhvacharya appeared. There is nothing to explain there. The Parampara started from Bhagwan Hamsa actually. So, mainly Sri Vishnu is the main propagator of the Pancharatra philosophy as said in the Mahabharata and other places also. And he gave this knowledge to Brahmadeva in Satya Yuga, and he gave it to the rishis and others. And then through the Kumara rishis, Durvasa Muni, and several others, it finally came down to the few Pancharatrikas who were there during the times of Shankaracharya. But in between, many of them actually, they became smartas due to either death threats and forced conversions by smartas, or else due to the influence of Shankaracharya and due to getting defeated in debates. So that is actually there in the Shankara Vijayas also, that many of them had migrated towards South India especially, and among them one of those paramparas was this Guru Parampara of Sri Satyaprajna Tirtha. And then moving on later, after a few more centuries, Achyuta Prajna Tirtha, who was the guru of Madhvacharya, gave Diksha to Sri Madhvacharya, and later Madhvacharya restored the Guru Parampara back to the philosophy of Pancharatra and Vaishnava Dharma. That is the basic Guru Parampara of ours, and there's nothing much to explain here basically. Also, the Vishnu Purana translation which we have released contains guidelines on how to perform Shastra Adhyayana and in the proper protocol of learning the Shastras. So, we suggest everyone to read that first and understand that properly, and then go ahead with that, because that is very important, and that will make sure that if you follow that, rest assured that you will actually learn the Shastras properly, any Shastras for that matter, not just this Vishnu Purana. So you will learn it and understand it and know it thoroughly. And more than that, again, we recommend everyone to dedicate time to learning Samskrita. We may start classes on Samskrita in the future, maybe not in the near future or anytime soon, but maybe after 2 more years. So we are planning that depending on the demand. So anyway, as we said, please go through the Vishnu Purana's translation, and also first read the initial introduction and the Shastra Adhyayana guidelines, and make sure you chant the prayers in the beginning. Just follow all the instructions given. Yes, Sarthak, any queries?
Yes. Okay. Hare Rama, and the jivas in the dormant state who are not in samsara. What is the perception of time for them?
I am not sure of the exact explanation for that, but they do perceive time. It's not that they won't perceive time at all.
No, that is not what I'm asking. At what rate, speed, or do they perceive time? Is it fast for them, or just how we perceive it.
They won't
Like
actually
time is
have much of
relative
a
in different
sensation
lokas.
of all that. They will not be very well aware of what is happening, or they won't have much knowledge at all because they're again dormant and not fully active.
They are dormant, but they are having thoughts and they're conscious. So how are they not having any perception of that?
It's similar to how one has a dream, or one is, you could say when one has a dream, there is only partial awareness of what is going on. So
Yes,
it's somewhat
understood.
like that. Or you could say that their condition is like these viruses which are crystallized and stored. So in zoology, if you would have studied, viruses are actually a link between living and non-living things, because when they're outside a living body, they behave exactly like a non-living object. They have absolutely no signs of life at all. But when they come in contact with any living organism, they infect that organism and they show signs of life. So these dormant jivas are somewhat like that only.
Mhm. The dream analogy is better,
Yeah,
but
I mean, because it's hard for many to understand that, because not many would know that very well in zoology.
and viruses are not conscious beings in even their dormant state. They're completely non-living.
Yeah, they're not non-living exactly. Actually, they're still living beings only. They still have a soul, and they come under the category of microorganisms. Even the Shastras
Mm.
describe the microorganisms as having a soul.
Understood.
Any more queries by anyone else?
Oh, Brata, last time, actually, in the first episode, first session, or maybe second, I asked about Guya Bhasha. So that time, Guruji explained one example with Uchishtam Kaka something.
Guhya
You
Bhasha.
Guya Bhasha, yes, yes. So
Uh,
that time I asked, what is the could you give example? So that time he gave regarding Gupta Guhya Bhasha one example about Uchishtam Kaka Shuddham something. You remember?
yes. There's
So
actually a
can you?
better example which I think you people will understand better, because that may be slightly confusing. So there is one shloka which I'll explain. I think some of you here may be aware of that. So that shloka goes as Keshavam patitam drishtva pandavaha harsha nirbharaha rudanti kauravaha sarve ha ha keshava keshava. So the translation of this shloka is Keshavam patitam drishtva. By seeing Keshava who was fallen down, the Pandavas became overjoyed. They were overexcited. And by seeing that, the Kauravas started crying. And they were shouting how bad it is Keshava is fallen. So, does this make sense to anyone here? How many of you say
Yes.
this clearly sounds exactly like it is some twisted meaning, or the shloka is wrongly phrased and is the opposite of what it should have been?
Yes, it is uncharacteristic for both to react that way.
Yeah, so for those who didn't get the meaning, again I'll explain it. Seeing Keshava who had fallen down, the Pandavas became excited. They were overjoyed. And the Kauravas started crying, how bad, how bad. So, how many of you feel this is the shloka is wrongly phrased or has some serious error? Please raise your hands. Okay, what about the remaining two people? Okay, so okay, you can put your hands down. So basically, this is actually an example of Guhya Bhasha. Now here, Keshava does not mean Krishna or Vishnu. It actually, the actual meaning here is that ka, the letter ka actually means water. So, Shava means dead body. In the water, seeing the dead body which had fallen, the Pandavas, Pa Andava, which means those born from eggs, that is fish. The fishes were overjoyed, seeing the dead body fallen in the water. And the Kauravas, Kaurava here means wild beast. The wild beasts were howling. Now, does this make sense?
Yes, Bhrata.
It's too much Guhya Bhasha.
Yes, Guhya Bhasha means like this only. The meaning will not be obvious at all. It will be totally something which will be unexpected. So, without the help of a guru or without proper knowledge of other shastras, it's almost impossible to decode it. And in our age, especially now, it's quite difficult to understand the Guhya meaning of every shloka in the Shastras. Actually, it's impossible to understand the Guhya Bhasha of every shloka used in the Shastras or the Puranas and Mahabharata, especially. But for certain parts, it may be possible, especially if we learn that knowledge properly. And over time, after identifying and knowing all this, one can somewhat gain the ability to decode the other meanings on their own. But this is why Guhya Bhasha is something like this. It's very complex. So does that make it clear?
धन्यवाद
What did you say?
धन्यवाद
No problem. So any more queries? So moving on, as we were saying, there is actually one interesting analogy used by Sri Madhvacharya in Anuvyakhyana. So basically, so can everyone here tell what is something which is extremely important to you, without which you feel you cannot live at all? Your existence is impossible.
Ananda.
Yes, that is one thing. Every soul is on a quest for happiness. But what is some tangible object which one is which may be important to one?
Our human body.
Yes. So again, this is actually like too much attachment to the body sometimes is obviously a result of the same thing which is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana, identifying Anatma as Atma, that which is not the Atma as the Atma. But anyway, since that is a separate topic, we'll discuss that later, and we have explained most of it in the previous sessions also. So anyway, basically the fact is that anyone in any situation usually will always want to care about themselves. What one cares about is their Atma, their self. That is what one finally wants. If there were a situation where you would have to accept the blame for someone else's mistake and suffer partially at least on their behalf, would you do it? Anyone here?
Depending upon how severe the mistake is.
Yes, but for no reason would you do that? Just to just to help someone else?
Yes, if it is not too severe, because if it is too severe, he deserves to be punished.
Yes, so ultimately, finally, anyone's natural tendency is to care about themselves and about their well-being. This is a natural human tendency actually. And now again, in certain situations it may be correct, in certain situations it may be wrong. That depends on the situation and the context. But again, the fault with many other philosophies, especially the Bauddha philosophy, the philosophy of Buddhism, and even Mayavada for that matter especially, starts here. The Mayavadis especially believe that we should totally forget and destroy this identity itself which we have, and we should lose our separate individuality completely. This is their ultimate goal. So this is where the main disagreements between the philosophy of Vaishnavism and Mayavada starts. So this is what this is one criticism of Mayavada by Sri Madhvacharya in Anuvyakhyana. And usually, many of you here may have come across this analogy lately being used, especially on the social media, that there is one story peddled by the Mayavadis that there is one. There was once a debate between a Dvaitin scholar and an Advaitin scholar. And the Dvaitin goes to study all the Shastras and prepares for the debate, but the Advaitin the next day simply calls a barber and asks. He says, Tattvam Asi, you are Bhagwan. So the barber says, how can you say I am Bhagwan? I am only a barber. So the Advaitin says, even a barber knows that he is not God. So what was the use of you learning all these Shastras just to prove you aren't God? So this story is actually being circulated by many Mayavadis online just to show that it is useless to learn Tattvavaada. Now this analogy is actually flawed and it's actually a self-goal for these people, because the same analogy was used by Sri Madhvacharya in Anuvyakhyana. The fact is, Sri Madhvacharya states, even an illiterate, a mere shepherd or a cowherder, is well aware of the fact that he is subordinate to Bhagwan. He is not having an independent existence. He is not fully independent because he is not in a state of eternal happiness. He knows that there is misery, there are so many sufferings, and that not everything is under our control. And all of us know that we are not even a mere dust particle in front of Bhagwan. Yet these Mayavadis want to prove that somehow we are Bhagwan, or that Bhagwan only exists and our individual existence itself is a lie. So, what is the use of studying the Shastras and learning so much just to prove something which can be actually disproved through common sense? This is the analogy used by Sri Madhvacharya in Anuvyakhyana, actually. In the, I think if I remember correctly, it's in the first Adhikarana.
Indeed, Bhata. But I think that is the point, right? We are in a deep illusion of Maya.
However,
Even
they
sin.
aware though that we are. I mean, how can they be? They know for sure how this is the exact mechanism to escape Maya if we are in Maya and we have no idea about it. And again, as said by Sri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu, uh, if you see Shankaracharya's definition of what Maya is, you will actually not get a clear explanation at all. And if you try to understand that, anyone will go nuts actually. That is how ambiguous it is and how he has given a twisted explanation for that. And actually there are actually among the Mayavadis themselves, over time there were many subgroups which formed, and all of them had different interpretations of Shankaracharya's definition of Maya. And now there are 24 such prominent subgroups among Smartas, at least 24 of them, and all of them believe that the other 23 are wrong, and their own concept of their own understanding of Shankaracharya's Bhashyas are correct. This is the irony of Dvaita in Advaita, actually. Anyway, even
Uh,
we Vaishnavas also have such disagreements on certain topics, but the thing is, we have very little disagreements, and here and there, among Madhvas especially, there is an option always to differ from certain Purvacharyas, as long as one's Siddhanta is in accordance with the Bhashyas of Sri Madhvacharya and Jayatirtharu and other earliest Acharyas and the Bhashyakaras. But nonetheless, because we have acceptance of the uniqueness of every soul, of every person, of every entity, in our philosophy this never causes a problem at all, because those who truly understand Tattvavaada will know that, again here that there should be acceptance for the basic truth that everyone's nature is different and everyone's personality is different. So on certain matters there are bound to be disagreements. No two atoms or molecules themselves can exactly be the same, though qualitatively they may be the same. Though again there will be again certain variations, and both of them have separate existence. So what to speak of living entities then? So any more queries? We shall resume in a couple of minutes. Okay, so any queries here by anyone else? So if there are no more doubts, we shall move on. So Guruji has arrived and he'll continue the class now.
Oh. What was being discussed? Am I audible to all who are connected?
Yes, Guruji, you're audible.
Okay. What was being discussed?
I solved a few queries. Some of them had about the Jagat Chakra and the connection of Yajnas with Parjanya. So I explained how it is basically one's contribution to overall not harming other beings and conserving the resources on the earth and causing minimal damage. So that is what contributes to the normal environment and its functioning. And a few of them also had a few doubts about Guhya Bhasha. So I gave a Guhya Bhasha in the Shastras. So I gave one example for it and explained the deep meaning of that shloka. There the shloka which goes as Keshavam Patitam Drishtva Pandava.
Yajna leads to Parjanya because Parjanya means para, sasyadi janakatvat. It's the origination of plants and all the greenery above. So water that comes through rain, it has to be absorbed into the earth. It has to percolate into the earth. And that is made possible by a lot of activity. Only when we behave in a certain way, only when we behave with a certain understanding of the soil, only then that is possible. So a civilization's intelligence is verily how well it understands its soil. Its survival depends on it. No civilization who doesn't understand its soil will survive. It's a question of survival of that civilization. If yajna means not some smoke from fire. It involves activities. It involves activities of all the four varnas. It's a common responsibility that is shared by everybody. All four varnas do activities which are directed towards the earth. We have to. It's not just not harming, but there's a lot of positive contribution that every species of life has to do to the soil. The human's activity is orchestrating is first of all understanding the activities of all the other species and orchestrating them in such a way that they contribute positively, which they would if they are understood and if they are led to thrive, then naturally they'll contribute well to the soil. Is that clear?
Everyone please respond.
Yes, Swami.
Yes, Guruji.
Okay.
I think Rajeshri has a doubt. She has raised her hand, Guruji.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Harish Srinivasa Guruji. So I have one question related to Jagat Chakra only, that if a person's occupation is like that person is not able to contribute to the Jagat Chakra through his occupation, but whatever that person is earning, if that person donates some part of it to temple, then does that person contribute to the Jagat Chakra by that way through its job, or is the life still a sinful life?
No, but that is the way that people are doing now. But I don't think that really makes a difference, because that temple in the first place may not be contributing to the Jagat Chakra.
So donating a temple, this won't contribute to the Jagat Chakra.
I couldn't hear that, Prajna. Can you say that?
Does donating to temples contribute to the Jagat Chakra? That's what she is curious
No,
about.
the temple itself may not be contributing to the Jagat Chakra. May not be a participant in the Jagat Chakra.
Swami, what if the temple is a nice temple like Udupi Krishna temple or Srirangam temple, such temples?
Even those temples, I think most of the resources are being mismanaged in even those temples. First of all, those temples are being governed by most of those big temples, ancient temples. They are governed by the endowment department of the government. And the endowment department of the government, there is still a movement and some kind of a revolution going on. They're trying to, people are, but most of the misused by the endowment.
Guruji, your voice is breaking.
I said that most of the money that comes to the temples to these temples in the form of donations, the people handling that money have no idea of Jagat Chakra today.
Guruji, how about contributing to those people who actually have some role in the Jagat Chakra or contribute to spreading spirituality as such?
So that's at least better, but then that doesn't justify, because the thing that nature has given you is to directly engage in something to do with the Jagat Chakra. You are not using the main resource that nature has given you. The money that you produce is of no value to nature.
Yes, Guruji.
What nature has invested in you, saha yajna praja srushtva. There is an activity that nature has invested you with. You are not just born, you are an investment by nature, and you should not be a liability to nature. Now most people working those occupations are a liability to nature. You are being supported by millions of other lives for nothing, because there's nothing that you are offering. You what you the speciality what is important that you can offer is what nature has invested in you, not something that you have acquired through education or something like that. You are born with it. What the participation that you have to do in the Jagat Chakra is not something that you acquired after being born. Nature would have sent you with that in you. You only have to realize that it that activity.
Yes, Guruji.
Just you are born with it. There's a phrase like that, no, in English, born with it, kind of, yeah. The monkey never went to a school to learn how to climb trees. Nor did the cow go to a school where it was taught how to graze. Similarly, the activity that you have got to do, it will be in you. It is not something that you acquire from outside. Maybe there will be a slight training that you take from outside, but that is not to entirely acquire a skill from scratch. It will be you will already have it in you. You need to find out what that is that nature has invested in you, and your yajna will be in that direction. Am I understandable? It's difficult to understand that in today's society, because today's society, there are certain fixed occupations that fetch you money and status, and most people are committed to that no matter what. They don't even bother what they are given by nature.
So, Guruji, if a person gets into Defense Research and Development Organization, being a mechanical engineer, and will contribute to the military, so will it contribute to the Jagat Chakra as well?
Can you repeat that, Pranashmi?
Basically, the question is whether a mechanical engineer or someone who works for the defense section of society, will they contribute to the Jagat Chakra?
No, they will contribute to the Jagat Chakra provided the people whom they are protecting are contributing. If you protect people who are contributing to the Jagat Chakra, then yes, you contribute to the Jagat Chakra. It depends whom you are protecting.
Will protect the entire country, you know.
What is that?
They'll be protecting the entire country, right? That's what she asked.
Yeah, that country is only as valuable as its citizens are participant in the Jagat Chakra. Otherwise, it is not worthy of protection.
If a person becomes a YouTuber and spreads Tattvavaada through YouTube, then will it contribute to the Jagat Chakra?
Yeah, but that's only because now people are hearing through YouTube and we are in that paradigm. That is why. Otherwise, it's completely irrelevant to the society. Because your speaking on YouTube is to create an awareness, and it's a welcome.
You're not audible, Guruji.
The last part what you said was not audible, Guruji.
It's a welcome effort, but that cannot be your whole contribution to the Jagat Chakra. Your whole contribution to the Jagat Chakra would be a skill that nature has given you from like very innate in you. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, Guruji.
Yes,
Yeah.
Guruji.
You can definitely speak in YouTube or through some online platform and try to create awareness about this. But then this awareness becomes complete only when there is a real implementation of this, which is a real model that people can understand. Otherwise, just leaving some information will not lead people to take any real steps in that direction.
Ji,
They will
Guruji.
just say, thank you for the information. Okay, that's some kind of, that gives me an idea of what it is. Like that. But yes, it's definitely better than, uploading some entertainment music or some porn videos on YouTube. So we definitely, but what we are trying to communicate to you is what the Jagat is. I think at this point of time we will have to leave it to your judgment that to what extent are you ready to take part in the Jagat Chakra. So making videos and talking the truth about these things on some online platform, will that contribute? Yes, I think that will contribute in some way today, because you'll be at least awakening people. At least you'll be trying to awaken people, or if nobody awakens also, at least when you speak, you have a better chance to be awakened. I am speaking, I have no hope that anybody will understand and awaken. I am speaking to help myself awaken.
जी
Is
गुरुजी,
that clear?
जी गुरुजी.
So like that, even when you speak, at least if nobody, at least you, the one person who is speaking, at least we get to think in those terms and we get to align in those terms in a more in a more stronger way. I think, yeah. So in that way, it's better than most other things that people do. But that cannot be the stable, long-standing way of doing things. That can be in transiting towards a better tomorrow. Usage of phone and usage of all these modern amenities, we should minimize them and use them only in as much. Anything can be, the beauty of it is that anything can be evaluated with this parameter. Once you understand the Jagat Chakra, you can evaluate and you can see where anything fits in this.
So Guruji, if a person is doing job also and side by side he is doing YouTube also, then is he contributing to the Jagat Chakra, like by spreading
Yeah,
about
but
Tattvavaada and
that job
winning
is a
team?
waste. That job
Okay,
would
job
be a
is waste.
waste.
Yeah, but okay.
The job would be a waste because he's investing the energy, his God-given energy, into something that is maybe even detrimental. If he's working for some kind of, say, anything to see, even if you are building a solar cell today, you might say that solar cell is a very nature friendly thing, so I'm working building. No, solar cell
Guruji, your voice
to
is
make
breaking.
one so.
Now you are audible.
Even if you were working in a company that produces solar cells to convert solar energy into electrical energy or something like that, even that, to make one solar cell, there is so much processing that undergoes, which involves so much nature unfriendly activity. To make one solar cell, you need to mine so many metals. There's so much processing involved, which is unfriendly to nature. And anyway, a solar cell manufactured even by the best solar cell company is no way even close. It doesn't even come close to what even a single blade of green grass can do. Do you agree to that? Even the most sophisticated solar cell in no way comes even close to a blade of green grass that is standing on the soil. Because its ability to process sunlight and produce real food is unparalleled by any amount of sophistication that human being can use. Does that make sense? Like, are you able to piece those sentences together? Does that make sense?
Ji Guruji. But to be financially stable, we need to do job also along with YouTube. If YouTube, we are not gaining much money from YouTube.
No, but we need to work towards overthrowing this we need to work towards revolutionizing this economic system wherein you need to work and earn the currency money to get financial stability. Actually, the fact is nature has already offered you basic things like food, health. These are the main things. Most of the money that people earn today are spent on these things. You don't need to build houses and eat the kinds of food or make all that air conditioning and all these kinds of microwave ovens and refrigerators and these things. They're a complete waste. This whole economic system thrives on destroying nature. So even if you have to work a job, you need to work in such a way that it dissolves the economy. We need to take practical steps by which this economy is forced to change. Longer that this economy lives, more the damage will be done to nature. Because this economy thrives, even in the next budget, if India has to get her a few lakh crores, a few $1 billion that we get as subsidized loans from the World Bank and other international sources and investors, that only comes when you demonstrate a growth rate of more than 6%. How will you show a constant growth rate of more than 6%? You will have to constantly keep building roads and infrastructure at the cost of nature. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, Guruji.
Even now actually there is no growth rate in the country more than 4%. But even now, every place, it hurts so much to see all those 200, 300-year-old trees just being cut down to widen the roads. Have you people witnessed that? Road widening projects.
Yes.
Thousands of trees along, which stood there from hundreds of years. Can they plant anything like that? No, they can't even come close to a blade of grass. What to speak of a tree that stood for 200, 300 years? You don't know the damage to the ecosystem that we are doing by putting down even one such tree. It is an irreplaceable damage. There's nothing that you can do for the decades to come. The damage that is caused by putting down one such tree is irreplaceable. But they're not realizing this.
I think Sarthak has a question, Guruji.
Who has a question?
Sarthak.
Sarthak, yes, please.
Hare Rama Guruji. And my question is that should the how much should be the balance of development and preserving nature? What should be the line we drawn?
He's asking what should be the balance between development and what?
Nature.
So preserving nature, yeah.
Well, you should not do developments like this. It's totally unnecessary. Why do we need all those 4-lane roads?
Transportation,
Why do you need to transport, first of all? Tell me why you need to transport.
Swamiji, because the economy works on that.
No, economy need not work on that. Every locality in India is called a subcontinent. You are aware of that, right?
Yes.
You know why India is called a subcontinent?
Because of it was a geographical region which was not part of Asia but collided with Asia years ago.
No,
as
that's
far as
not the
I
reason why it is called a subcontinent.
because of the diversity, Swamiji.
Yes, diversity of what?
Of everything, thought, culture, language.
Why do those diverse cultures emerge? Why do we see diversity in language, art, culture? Why?
Yes, Swamiji, because there is also geographical diversity in India.
Yeah, there is difference in the terrain. There is difference in the landscape.
Yes, terrain, climate, topography, etc.
Yes, climate. So there's so much variations. There are also the hottest regions also you will find here. At the same time, you will find also the regions with the highest rainfall. You'll find deserts. You'll find all kinds of climates. You'll find snow-clad mountains. You'll find perennial rivers. All kinds of things that you find in a whole continent. Now, Asia is a continent. All the kinds of variant climatic conditions, landscapes, water bodies that you see over a vast landscape. You will see all that here. Every locality has its own set of creatures. When Darwin went to Galapagos Islands to research, and when he wrote his diaries in 1839 and published them, he records the differences that are seen in the beaks of the birds, in the neck length of the turtles there, depending on the vegetation of that place. So based on the landscapes, the vegetation also varies. So he saw that slight variations in landscape produced differences in the shapes and the sizes of the beaks and the necks, or even of the turtles of that place, amongst other creatures that he observed. So here also you will see that in mountainous regions, the vegetation is different. The cattle that graze there, the kinds of sheep, the kinds of cows that every region has is unique to that place. If you come to coastal areas, the cows are they are shorter in size. They have their own agility and way of movements. If you go to the mountain regions, you find even shorter cows. You go to Kerala, you'll find different kinds of cows, the Vechur breed. You go to Rajasthan, you'll find the huge cows with capable of a great impact on the soil. So every region has its own idiosyncrasies. So if you decide to stay in a certain place, and if you are from a certain locality, you will be completely provided in that locality. The kind of dress you need, or you will have exactly the right kind of cotton or jute, or the kind of fiber that you need for that locality will be available in that locality, either from animal sources or from plant sources, the fiber. Food will also be locally available, and the locally grown food is best, that suits best to your body. The best food for your body is the food that is grown within the range of a few, maybe up to 10 kilometers from where you are, from where you stay, from where you are born, and from where you're from your native place. So every locality has its own unique food. Transporting apples from Jammu, Kashmir to Kerala is a totally unnecessary activity that in no way signifies any excellence of the quality of human life. Because people don't understand Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. God's creation is Purna. It is complete. Every locality is complete in everything that you need there. Transport on that scale. People are karma shreyasi moodha. Fools think that human activity such as building roads make us special and excellent. Moodhanam karmani shreyo buddhi moodhanam. They'll be thinking we are as great as the number of buildings we make, the number of roads we make. This is the way of thought of fools because they don't know the delicate balances and the sophistry that exists naturally. Any comments? That I heard some ringing sound.
That was a few people who joined, Guruji, who were disconnected and rejoined.
Is it okay?
Vamshi has raised his hand, and I just wanted to let all the other participants know that Guruji has not joined through Google Meet, so he won't be able to see those who have raised hands. So please unmute and speak directly.
Please unmute and speak so that the question will be heard clearly by others. I have in the place where I'm living, I don't have network. Today the network is especially low, so I am not able to connect through Google Meet. I had to. There is if I go a few kilometers from here, there is a place where there is network. So I thought of taking my bike, but I have not used my bike for some time, so it just won't start. Yeah.
Swami, if we protect the people who are not, Swami, if we protect the people who are not contributing to the Jagat Chakra, then are we doing the sin?
Krishna says that Mogham Parthasya Aghayurindriya Ramaha. Krishna says that they are sinful. Aghayurindriya Ramaha Mogham Parthasya Jivati. The verses of Jagat Chakra, the verse that I quoted was from that we had introduced last. This is from 3rd chapter. Aghayuhu, he said. Agha means basically we become liabilities to nature. You imagine the biggest institution is nature itself. In a company, if you're working, those of you who have worked in any software firms or in any of the corporate, every moment you are being evaluated, right? Whether you are a liability or an asset to the company. If the company has to pay you, say, 2 lakhs every month, so it will only do that if your being there works out for them, right?
Yes, Swami.
Similarly, in nature, every moment that you live, you are living at the cost of the sacrifice of several other living beings. So unless your existence contribute to the sustenance of life in a way that is greater than what you consume, nature sees no reason why to keep you. Do you understand that?
Yeah, Swami, understood, Swami.
The others understand just now what I said. I think I put it more clearly just now in the statement that I said just now. I think it's a little more clear.
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, Swamiji.
Hare Ram. Okay, I hope if that is clear, we'll move on to another topic. This is something that you will take time. Please take your own time to understand this. There is no, of course, there is a rush. There is a hurry. You need to hurry to understand this. But if you don't sense that, it's there only if you sense it. If you don't sense it, take your time. But things will happen at the pace at which they happen. You see, how many people know what is autism? Autism, are people aware what is autism? Okay, who doesn't know what's autism? Autism, Raja, could you explain them what is autism?
Yes, Guruji.
in general?
So
Or maybe
autism
you
is,
can look up on the net what is autism.
yes, Guruji.
Very briefly.
So autism is basically a psychological condition where the person's thoughts do not function normally and their emotions are somewhat altered, and they do not have the same feelings that a normal person has. And usually the main symptom one sees is that they will feel no difference between a living object and a non-living object, and they won't feel the same emotion which they feel with their family members or anyone they know, or with a stranger, or even a table or a chair. So that's the basic symptoms. Those are the basic symptoms, and what one faces when they have autism.
So what does that make them? It makes them socially non-participant, right? Socially non-functional entities.
Yes, Guruji.
D- anybody? Any comments?
Someone messaged that it is a spectrum very diverse, right, of autism.
There is a diverse spectrum, but in general, if you put together all those characteristics also, that individual who has autism cannot function normally in a society, in this society. I think that is. Isn't it?
Guruji, you were not audible.
Oh, I said, no, yeah, the spectrum, there is, but despite that, I think.
Your voice is breaking.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Somewhat better, Guruji.
Oh. The sky here is very beautiful, but you can see thousands of stars. But the network is bad. Is it better now?
Yes, Guruji.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is, yes, that is correct. That the spectrum of autism is very diverse. True. But what I'm saying is, despite that, you can make a common statement about the entire spectrum that a person who is afflicted with autism cannot function as cannot be fully functional in the society today. Is that okay? Like, can I does that cover the entire spectrum of autistic beings?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. Does anyone have any idea what's the rate of autism today? Like the United States official report, you know how many are autistic? How many among how many are autistic? Any idea?
One in 100 children, Swamiji, I think.
I think the official reports in the US already had reached 1 in every 70 is autistic. Okay, let's take that figure. Where did you get that from? Is it from some official record?
Yes, sir. From US side, yeah.
Okay, so even you take 1 in every 100. Do you know what was the rate of autism in 1970, 1975?
No, Guruji. Inform us.
It was either 1 in every 10,000 or 1 in every 15,000 was autistic.
Oh, it has increased exponentially.
So, you know why this is happening? Because nature doesn't want people to be active in the way that they are today. You understand now the importance of Jagat Chakra? That wouldn't have happened if we would have been participant in the Jagat Chakra in the way we have to. So because people are is having not contrary to Jagat Chakra, it is working against the principles that sustain life. So what do you expect nature to do? Nature intends to sustain life. So what do you expect it to do to a population which is not wipe it off eventually?
Guruji, the last part wasn't audible.
I said, what do you expect nature to do with a population that is not cooperative?
Voice had broken again. Swamiji.
Guruji said that what should nature do with those who aren't, with a population that doesn't contribute anything to the well-being of nature?
To the sustenance. Nature's program is to sustain life. Nature's program is to sustain all forms of life, because every form of life has a function that is irreplaceable. So to sustain the functionality of all the various species is what nature intends. That is what nature intends. So any species that malfunctions, meaning to say that it doesn't contribute to this program of nature, what do you expect nature to do with that species? It will try to correct that species first, right? So that it falls
Yes,
back in
Guruji.
line.
Yes, Guruji.
Now, when they are not corrigible, you know this word incorrigible. If they are not correctable or corrigible, then nature will want to tone them down, to make them ineffective. So autistic people are the need of nature today. We need people who do not have the capacity to function in this society, and that is how nature will preserve itself. If activity continues at this scale, soon we would be left. Every day we are driving many species into extinction today. The scale of activity of human beings is having a toll, it's taking a toll, driving species to extinction. Nature cannot support that. Nature will not support that. So nature has resorted to autism, and you know what is more is nature has even resorted to making them sterile. You know the sterility rate of human beings today? At least the Mysore Genomics and Genetics Department from Mysore University, their chief person officially has declared that, because the United Nations has now come to 50 years ago, even an average healthy person had 200 million sperms for every milliliter of sperm. The most healthy person today will have not more than 40 million sperms. The United Nations has been forced to redefine a healthy person as a male. Amongst males, a healthy person is a person who has at least, it was just last year 20 million sperms per milliliter. I think this now it has gone down to 10 sperms. Because if it keeps the average health as 200 million sperms, there is nobody in the world who is healthy today. So people are being made sterile. Why? Because nature doesn't want this population that disrupts the natural balance. Make sense?
Everyone, please reply.
Was I audible fully?
Yes,
when I
Guruji.
said that? Okay. I asked a question. Maybe you can repeat the question, Prajna, if they've not understood.
I think everyone understood it. Just they're reluctant to speak, I guess. It's okay if you didn't understand, please reply at least.
Hey, no. If they don't understand, how can they reply? Because they need to understand the question first. I said that nature has resorted to making people autistic. Not just that, it has also now gone further to make the people sterile. At least I've seen in Bangalore there is an IVF every road. Because people are not getting baby, they are not able to make babies today. You know, sterility was not a problem in the 1980s when I was small. when I was born, and when we were small, young boys, it was unheard of. Somebody not having a child was a very absurd thing. The current population is not able to replace itself. So nature is definitely taking steps towards, if we don't correct ourselves, if we don't awaken to these facts, nature is going to wipe us out. And nature is very resilient, and it has its ways of correction, and those ways may seem to us to be brutal, may seem to us to be very savage or rough. I was audible, right? Does it make sense, Raja?
Yes, Guruji. Only one person said he understood.
Jagat Chakra offers you a way to interpret nature. See, if you did not know there is such a thing called Jagat Chakra, and there is such an impending, there is such a responsibility on every human being to participate in the Jagat Chakra. If this was not known, then we would not know where we are where we are, what's the word? Where are we? What's what? Where are we lacking? What are we doing what are we missing? That nature has to resort to such things. We would not even know the context. It's only because we understand this context of Jagat Chakra that we are able to interpret these changes in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, we would be under false impressions of progress. These are not facts that somebody can overlook. Somebody who is a responsible person, somebody who is poignant, or somebody who is who has prajna, who is conscious, who is proactive. Such a person cannot overlook these facts, and these are not small facts. These are not small things that are happening. These are huge, very huge. If somebody chooses to ignore this, then they are not responsible human beings in the first place.
I think Vamshi has a question, Guruji. Please don't raise hands, just unmute yourself and ask, because Guruji can't see you raising your hand.
No, you can just say, even if they raise their hand, please say their name, and they'll maybe unmute and speak.
Yes, Guruji. And there is a question
Yeah,
by
Swami.
Sarthak also. I'll say that after Vamshi's query.
Yeah, Swami. Swami, if we do Chintana of Hari's qualities, Harinama Japa and Puja, Aradhana, Saligrama Puja, Sandhyavandana, all this, how does this contribute to Jagat Chakra? Because it won't help any other living beings directly, na Swami. It will only help us,
To
only help
understand
us to elevate.
how that contributes to Jagat Chakra, you have a look at the Jagat Chakra. That time you will understand how our activities born. In the Jagat Chakra, see that part how activities come. So you will understand that how this will contribute. See that part of the Jagat Chakra where it is Karma Brahma Akshara Samudbhavam. That will answer the question.
Can you repeat that, Swami? It's not
Yeah,
audible.
look at the Jagat Chakra. Look at the Jagat Chakra.
Yeah, Swami. You quoted one shloka part, na Swami. Can you repeat that, Swami?
No, that is not. It is not any shloka. It's Jagat Chakra only.
Yeah, okay, Swami.
Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi Brahma Akshara Samudbhavam. The Karma, Brahma and Akshara, how they are connected. If you understand that, then you will understand this. That will answer your question.
Yeah, Swami.
What is the question of Sarthak?
He said nature is magnanimous and we should repay it. Our malicious exploitation of nature will only lead to our vanquishment. That is what I have understood.
Yeah, but you need to understand more closely that we are living at the cost of other beings here in nature.
Yes, we are all the organisms, animals. We are destroying their habitat.
No. You are destroying their habitat. That is true. Even if you are not destroying, even if you lived when these destructive processes were not yet enabled, even then, every moment that you are living here, just for you to survive, for such a big human body to survive, there are so many other beings that have to be sacrificed. So many other beings are contributing. You can only eat if the earthworm does its work in the soil. Because the mineral cycles, all these, you are living because of the soil. Don't think you are living because of computers. You are living because of the air, because of the soil, and all these resources. They are replenished by constant activity by millions of creatures.
Guruji, even the microbial flora of our intestines and even the bacteria which die as we breathe can also be included here, right?
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. Even your olfactory functions, even your visible functions, even for your optical recognition, pattern recognition programs in the body to happen, it takes a certain microbiome to be healthily participant in your activity. So you're living at the cost of millions of other beings. That is instrumental for us to wake up to this responsibility as human beings that we have, that we should not be a liability but an asset. So we owe our function. It is not a matter of choice. It's a matter of duty. In fact, Arjuna understood that I have to fight the battle. I think that's a matter of choice. Arjuna understood that when he understood the Jagat Chakra. Any question?
I think no one has any queries, Guruji.
Oh, I hope it was understood. So just the point is that jivo jivasya jivanam. That if you are alive, you can be sure whether you like it or not. You may not like that, but you have no choice. you have to depend on the contribution of millions of other beings for your survival moment to moment, big and small.
ನೀವು ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯು ನಿಮ್ಮ
Just a minute, there's one of my students calling. Shall I join her to the call?
Okay, Guruji.
Yeah, I hope things are. I think you need to hear this many times to even catch up, because there's been a lot of and there's been a lot of misinformation, and basically there's been a lot of total disconnect from the very basic principles of life, and that's. But I'm sure I have a confidence that keeping the resilience of nature in mind, I have confidence. Once they catch up, once they begin to understand, I think it's going to be very strong, because this is the basis of value of life. Now, just switching to a slightly different subject matter. I request everybody to go through the Jagat Chakra with the picture and the shlokas and try to understand that closed loop, how it is a chakra or a wheel, how each segment is connected to the other in the light of the word of Krishna as he is describing it in the Bhagavad Gita. I request all of you to please go through that, and only then you'll be able to understand it in a better way. Chakra in that Jagat Chakra means the way Brahma means God. So doing Sandhya Vandana and how it contributes to Chakra is because it makes you aware of Brahma. It makes you aware of Brahma, and when you are aware of Brahma, you will be connecting with Brahma, and you will be available for Brahma to use as an instrument in Brahma Karma. Brahma Karma Samadhina, Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havihi, Brahma Agnau, Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaiva Yenantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So this happens when you are available as an instrument, and you will be available as an instrument to Brahma only when you are aware of Brahma, only when by the Vedic practices you have purified your mind and existence in such a way that you are free from prejudices and reservations with regard to being a pure instrument to Brahma. That is what Brahma in the Bhagavad Gita saying, Nimitta Matram Bhavasavya, be my instrument. I have killed all these people already. You be my instrument and kill them again here. The study of contributes to the Jagat Chakra. Somebody had asked some time ago, right? I think it was Vamshi who had asked. Right? Is there a reply, Prajna?
It is from Sarthak. He said we are indebted to nature and the countless organisms in it, so it is our duty to repay them. Otherwise, we will face the negative consequences seen now in the rise of autism and infertility due to the very reduced contribution in the Jagat Chakra.
No, there's negative contribution. There is negative contribution, not just a reduction. It is not that we are still on the positive side. We have gone zero, we have crossed beyond zero in the negative direction long ago. And autism and sterility are just beginning. They are just a trailer. You don't know how ruthless nature can be when she wants to be. Nature is resilient and she's very strong. No amount of human technology can protect you from nature's wrath when she gets going. She can be ruthless to a level that it's unimaginable to us. And when she gets so ruthless, we just have to take her anger, her wrath. This is just the beginning. The kinds of debilitating diseases that can just come up, there's no end to it. When she what we do, we simply have no idea, and not to speak of any ways of defense against it. Most people are in a false illusion that they have their means of defense against nature's wrath, which is the heights of delusion. We don't have anything that can protect us against nature. You feel a little hot now, you can turn the AC on, but that's not real. That is not nature's wrath. You want to see nature's wrath? I feel we will begin seeing that within the durations of our lives. So the study of Veda contributes to Jagat Chakra. How does that now? See, the Veda has to be realized. Many statements in Veda, if they apparently contradict your pratyaksha, this is the take of Madhvacharya regarding which he clarifies in the Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya. Mostly the Advaitavadis and I don't know if the Vishishta Advaitavadis and the others also have a similar stance, but I would not be surprised if they have. Their stance is that Veda can overrule pratyaksha. What would be your stance on that? Can Veda overrule your pratyaksha? They use this logic because they to say that, okay, if you see that I am feeling that the world is real, but Veda will say that the world is unreal, that is why you have to accept that the world is unreal. Even though it's in your pratyaksha, even though it is in your direct experience that the world is real, Veda is saying that Jagat is unreal. Now, to deal with that, we have to come to something basic to even understand, to begin with, that whether the Veda can contradict your direct experience. What would be your stand on that?
Swamiji, may I speak?
Sure.
Yes. No, Veda will never contradict pratyaksha because it is the truth. The truth can be observed by us alone. Like we don't. It will never contradict him.
Yeah, the Veda will not contradict pratyaksha.
Yeah. If pratyaksha could be faulty if it is contradicting.
No, when we say pratyaksha as jnana sadhana, when we say pratyaksha, when we speak of pratyaksha as a pramana, if it is faulty pratyaksha, then it is not pramana.
Okay, then yeah, it will never contradict pratyaksha.
For example, you are looking at the sky and you see the moon, for instance. Now the moon will look very small to you. Maybe if you look at the moon from here, you might feel that you could even catch it in your hand and put it in a pocket, right?
Yes, Swamiji.
But the Veda says that it is some 80,000 some yojanas wide. So then we understand that, oh, the Veda is saying something different. But then that is not contradicting pratyaksha. It is merely refining your pratyaksha, because you are looking at an object that is very far away. Our pratyaksha has a range. Even in this range, like if you are looking at something, would say, even at a clear line of sight, even if you're looking at a tree that is, say, some 3 or 4 kilometers away, in the line of sight, it will appear like a small object. So we can see that distant objects appear smaller than what they are. So if you look at the moon, it might appear smaller to you, but then the Veda will say that it is several yojanas, several thousand yojanas wide, right? So, but there is the way, the reason with that Veda, and there you can correct your the way that you gone your knowledge, the way that you have gotten your knowledge about the size of the moon through pratyaksha, you can correct that. You can refine your pratyaksha. So that is a mere refinement of your pratyaksha and not a contradiction. But when somebody says that the world is false, it doesn't exist, and you, okay, now how far the moon is and whether that is big or small is all of a small thing. This is something much more basic, much more fundamental than that. Your very experience of this world, now you are experiencing something. You are experiencing that there is air around you. You are experiencing that, for example, that you are alive, as you are an individual. So these are all your experiences. Some sentence the Veda says that all this is mithya, all this is false, and that you are not an individual. Your individuality itself is an illusion. So those statements, if that is what they are saying, would be considered as a contradiction of your direct experience. You understand that? Was I audible, Prajna? Is that clear?
Yes, Guruji.
Are you in between something else? Like?
No, Guruji.
Okay, I'll be concluding soon.
Yes, Guruji.
Yes. So those statements of the Veda, if they are understood as such, then they would be contradicting our pratyaksha. But there is a school of thought, those schools of thought which attribute those meanings to those statements of the Veda, they propose that the Veda can contradict pratyaksha. So amongst many other ways of refuting that, Madhvacharya says that if the Veda would contradict reliable pratyaksha, pratyaksha pramana bhuta pratyaksha, if a pratyaksha is a pramana, and if the Veda can contradict such pratyaksha, then there would be a fault called upajivya virodha that comes. Because if that upajivya virodha means, Madhvacharya explains that how are you sensing what the Veda is saying? What the Veda is saying itself is sensed by your pratyaksha, right? In other words, you are dependent on your pratyaksha. That's what the Veda is saying. Right or wrong?
Yes, Swamiji.
So now, if Veda says that pratyaksha, what you are sensing in that pratyaksha itself is wrong, then the Veda is deprive you of your very means of even sensing what the Veda is saying.
Yes, Swamiji. Because yeah, we are reading it through reliable pratyaksha alone.
You might read it or you might. Pratyaksha doesn't mean only what you see with your eye. Even if you are hearing with
Well, yeah, sensory perception, right?
Pratiksha. See,
Swamiji?
Aksha doesn't, of course, Aksha in usage, in popular usage, Aksha has come to mean the eye, but the meaning of the meaning of the Aksha, the scope of the meaning of the word Aksha, it encompasses all the sensory organs, including the ear, skin. So if you are even hearing the Veda mantra and you are understanding it, you are dependent on Pratiksha to even understand what the Veda is saying. And so the Veda, which is only available to you because of the Pratyaksha, cannot deride the very means on which it is dependent. So that is called Upajivya Virodha, because Veda Jnana has your Pratyaksha as its Upajivya. And if Veda denies that Pratyaksha, then it is denying its own Upajivya. So it creates a fault called as Upajivya Virodha. Any questions on this? Was I clear?
There is no response, Guruji.
What do you feel? Was it clearly said?
Yes, Guruji. One person
Okay.
said you were clear and he understood.
The one who was talking was Samarth, right?
Sarthak.
Sorry, Sarthak. Sorry. Yeah. See, I don't know, I've said in a way that sounds clear to me, but if you feel that there's any, if you have understood what I'm saying, if you feel that there is something that you could say to make it more clear, please feel free to add.
Yes, Swamiji, I understood. Basically, yeah. If you contradict the Vedas contradict reliable pratyaksha, the method of like the way you're evaluating the Vedas is the reliable pratyaksha alone. So the way you are reading, listening.
Not the question of evaluation comes later. The question of evaluation comes later. Whether or not you evaluate Veda, even to comprehend what the Veda is saying is only possible because of your pratyaksha.
Even to
of evaluation
comprehend.
doesn't even come here. Even to sense what the Veda is saying. Okay, the Veda said, now, okay, this something. How do you know what it's saying? You're only able to even sense what it is saying because of your pratyaksha. And if the Veda contradicts that very pratyaksha, then it has broken the very bridge that exists for you to connect with the Veda.
Understood, Swami. Then the Veda itself becomes unreliable.
Correct. Because because how do you know? Because you are dependent on a pratyaksha, which the Veda itself is. That.
Swami,
Yeah.
Swami, are there any statements in Vedas which apparently say that this world is mithya? Are there any apparent statements like that which say this world is
You
mithya?
take the Pancha Mahavakyas, what these people say.
That says Jiva and Paramatma is same apparently, na, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi.
But that contradicts your pratyaksha, no? That contradicts your pratyaksha. Is it
Yes,
there in
Swami.
your pratyaksha that you are the Brahma, your creator, you are the God himself?
No, Swami.
So then, in my pratyaksha, it is not there. So if Veda is telling something that goes against your pratyaksha, it is like denying your pratyaksha.
Yes, Swami.
All the Mahavakyas and all are the way they are interpreted. It goes against our pratyaksha.
Yes, Swami. But is there any
First of all,
statement which says
identifying
that
them
this?
as the Mahavakya. For us, every word in the Veda is a Mahavakya for us.
Yeah, Swami.
But those people have resorted to an ideology which assign the status of truth. There is unbroken truth. They assign the status of unchangeable truth to only those Mahavakyas. Everything else they say in the Veda is also, it is only merely an anuvada of what you are experiencing. In other words, they say the rest of the Veda is not at all, it's not having any ultimate value. Because it is not apurva, it is only translating what you experience in the world. It is merely a reiteration of your experience in the world. So that is why it is not, if something is apurva, it is saying something that you can't know on your own, only in the Veda is significant. But because they are telling that other than those 5 Mahavakyas, everything else the Veda is telling is only a mere reiteration of our experiential knowledge. So what is merely a reiteration cannot be significant. So that's why they are saying that only those 5 Mahavakyas which say that the world is unreal, and then that your pratyaksha itself, that you are experiencing that you are different and Brahma is different, God is different, that itself is an illusion, and your Brahma itself. The variety that your experience is giving you, that is giving you a sense of variety in this world, that itself is an illusion. Neha nana inchana. These are all their Mahavakyas, which they regard as the only true statements of the Veda. All-time truths. Other things and all, they say that it is only transactional truth. Not Samatya. So this is an arrangement that these people had to make in order for the Veda to make sense to them. According to Tattvavaada, according to us, every sentence, every statement, every word, every letter of the Veda is Mahavakya. Not just some 5 statements here and there.
Swami, what is the meaning of that statement, Nehana Nasti Kinjana statement, Swami? What is the meaning of that, Swami?
That there are no different things, everything is same, everything is only one.
But everything are different, na, Swami. Taratamya is there,
that
also
is
there.
meaning the way they are to it.
According to Tattvavaada, what is the meaning of that, Swami?
According to us, there are 100 ways in which we can interpret. For example, you can say that it is not different in the sense that we experience pleasure in a few activities. So we think that the activity that we experience pleasure from is different from the dharma that we are supposed to do, which we may apparently deem as being not so pleasurable. But the Veda is saying that they are not there. The pleasure is the same actually there also, because that same fulfillment is there in that activity as much as it is there in another activity, if not more.
And can it also be, Nehana Nasti Kinjana statement can also be interpreted as all the avatars of all the forms of Vishnu as one, not different. They are all the gunas and forms of Vishnu as one. Can we interpret that like that also, Swami?
Yeah, you can interpret it like that. It says iha nana asti kinchana. Here there are no different things. So here means it refers to the forms of Lord which are here or which are relevant in the discussion. Here means in the world of our experience. So everything, if you zero down into anything, ultimately there is a form of Lord, there is a form of God in everything. Every object has a unique form of God. So the form of God that is there in you, and that is there in me, and that is the form of God that is there in the sun, they all apparently appear to be different, or they all can be thought of as being different. Maybe even somebody resorts to Anumana to when they understand from the Veda that yes, God is there in everything, then somebody might resort to a kind of reasoning which may let him reason that maybe those forms are different. But then this statement is saying that no, they are not different, they are the same. If that is clear, we'll conclude for today.
Your voice is breaking, Guruji.
Now better.
Somewhat, Guruji.
I'm saying if that is understood, then we will conclude for today.
Yes, Guruji.
We went, I think, a little over time today. And we thank everyone who participated. And we congratulate heartily everyone for taking time to participate in this kind of a discussion. Yeah, so we'll meet again tomorrow. Not very far. The next class is going to be like tomorrow, right?
Yes, Guruji.
Not too far in time. Okay. Right. Shivaratri. Hare Ram. Narayana.
Hare Rama, Guruji.
Hare Ram.
Hare Rama Guruji.